8 dinosaur discoveries that shouldn't exist according to science. Right now, if you stood at the edge of a river in what is today the Sahara Desert, you would see nothing but cracked earth and silence. But 100 million years ago, you wouldn't have lasted 30 seconds. Not because of the heat, because something enormous was already watching you from beneath the surface of the water. A dinosaur in the river. And the terrifying part isn't that it existed. The terrifying part is how many other things we assumed couldn't exist, and how recently we discovered we were catastrophically wrong. These are 8 discoveries that, according to everything science believed it knew, simply should not exist. In 1982, a team from the Carnegie Museum of Natural History excavated a badly crushed skull at Ghost Ranch, New Mexico, and forgot about it. The specimen sat in a museum drawer for more than 30 years. Then a Virginia Tech undergraduate named Simba Srivastava pulled it out, rebuilt it fragment by fragment, and found a carnivorous dinosaur that had no business being there. Its anatomy didn't fit any known lineage. It suggested that an entire branch of predators, thought to have been erased by the end-Triassic mass extinction 201 million years ago, had somehow survived. One lineage, clinging to existence in the ancient rock, long after science declared its kind dead. The question that follows is the one scientists have been unable to shake ever since. How many other survivors are still hiding in the rock? For over a century, paleontology operated on a simple assumption. A fossil is stone. The organic material is gone. What remains is mineral, not biology. In May 2026, researchers at the University of Liverpool shattered that assumption permanently. Working on a duck-billed dinosaur called Edmontosaurus, excavated from South Dakota's Hell Creek Formation, they used advanced mass spectrometry and protein sequencing on a 50-pound hip bone. What they found was collagen. Real collagen, the primary structural protein of living bone, still present inside a 66-million-year-old fossil. Professor Steve Taylor confirmed the results showed beyond any doubt that original organic biomolecules genuinely persist in some fossils. Not contamination, not bacteria. Original molecules from an animal that died the day the asteroid hit. In your kitchen, collagen dissolves after a few hours of slow cooking. In a South Dakota rock formation, it survived 66 million years. Science said that was impossible. The fossil disagreed. In that same year, a physics student at the University of Virginia named Jarrett Mitchell pointed a particle accelerator at the rib of the largest T-Rex ever found. A specimen known as Scotty, over 13 meters long, housed at the Royal Saskatchewan Museum in Canada. The rib had a massive fracture, a break so severe it had only partially healed before Scotty died. And inside the fracture zone, the synchrotron X-rays revealed something no one had ever seen inside a dinosaur bone. A preserved network of blood vessels. Iron-rich, three-dimensional, still traceable after 66 million years, the biological trace of a wounded animal fighting to survive. Its body had done exactly what yours would do. It sent blood to the injury. It began to heal. And the molecular ghost of that process is still there, inside the rock, waiting. The bones of the wounded always tell the most. Science insisted for a century that dinosaurs were land animals, apex predators of the terrestrial world. The idea of an aquatic dinosaur was fantasy. Then paleontologist Nizar Ibrahim spent years in the Moroccan Sahara recovering fossils from one of the most dangerous predators in Earth's history, Spinosaurus aegyptiacus. What he found in 2020 changed everything. The tail of Spinosaurus was unlike anything seen in any other dinosaur. A massive paddle-like fin, flexible and powerful, which Harvard researchers tested using a robotic model and found comparable to the swimming propulsion of crocodiles and salamanders. The results were published in Nature. Spinosaurus, at 17 meters long, larger than T-Rex, was aquatic. It spent most of its life in the water, hunting giant prehistoric fish in a river system that covered what is now the Sahara. Ibrahim described the discovery as the nail in the coffin for the idea that non-avian dinosaurs never invaded the aquatic realm. The first swimming dinosaur. And it had been hiding in plain sight in Saharan rock for nearly a century. For almost 80 years, a skull in the Cleveland Museum of Natural History was labeled as a juvenile T-Rex. Small, sharp-toothed, lightweight, just a teenager, scientists said. Nothing remarkable. Then, in late 2025, two independent research teams published in the journals Nature and Science, arriving at the same conclusion through completely different lines of evidence. Nanotyrannus lancensis was a real species. A fully grown, distinct predator roughly half the size of T. Rex, that lived alongside its enormous relative in the final 2 million years before the asteroid struck. Not a growth stage, not a teenager, a separate evolutionary experiment in what it means to be a killing machine. Two apex tyrannosaurs competing for the same prey, in the same landscape at the same time. And we misidentified one as the juvenile version of the other for 80 years. The question that follows is the one no paleontologist wants to answer. What else are we misidentifying right now? Everyone knows T. Rex had tiny arms. Scientists proposed explanations for decades: balance, mating, rising from the ground. None were convincing. In May 2026, researchers at University College London and Cambridge analyzed 82 theropod species and found the real answer. The arms didn't shrink because the bodies got bigger. They shrank because the skulls became weapons. Across at least 5 separate dinosaur lineages, independently, the same pattern emerged. As jaws grew more powerful and prey grew larger, the forelimbs became redundant. UCL paleontologist Charlie Scherer described it directly. The head took over from the arms as the method of attack. Use it or lose it. T. Rex didn't have embarrassing arms. It had a face so lethal that everything else became optional. The final discovery doesn't involve a new species or a new fossil. It involves the end of a story we thought we understood. For most of the 20th century, scientists believed dinosaurs were already in decline before the asteroid struck. Diversity failing, ecosystems weakening, a world slowly dying. In October 2025, a team from Baylor University, New Mexico State University, and the University of Edinburgh published findings in Science that destroyed that narrative entirely. Fossil evidence from New Mexico, dated to the final 400,000 years before the impact, showed dinosaur communities that were diverse, regionally distinct, and thriving. Professor Andrew Flynn stated it without ambiguity. The dinosaurs were not on their way out. They were doing great. And then the asteroid hit. Think about what that means. 160 million years of evolutionary dominance. Animals of impossible complexity and scale. Some spotted and camouflaged as juveniles, some swimming through Saharan rivers, some healing fractured ribs while their blood vessels recorded the process in molecular detail. All of it thriving, full volume, at the absolute peak of its existence. And then, in an instant measured in hours rather than centuries, it was over. Not because they were weak. Not because they were failing. Because the universe sent one rock on one trajectory that intersected with Earth on one particular day. They were thriving. And then they were gone. Somewhere, in a rock formation not yet excavated, in a bone not yet split open, in a protein not yet sequenced, there is something else we are wrong about. Something that, according to everything science currently believes, simply should not exist.